Hey everyone, Dark Magician of Team Sorcerers here, and welcome back to What If Wednesday, and this is another Robot Wars one, and this is one that I thought of, because again, I'm trying to sort of alternate here. Don't worry, I'll get back to the ones that were requested, and that is, what if Gabriel 2 won instead of Carbide, like in Series 10? One of the greatest fights of the series. Big Nipper knocked out, the wheels badly damaged, and Carbide just limping through to win the judge's decision. But then that got me thinking, what if Gabriel 2 won it instead? What if one of Carbide's wheels was so messed up that it couldn't move freely? So yeah, Gabriel would go too, and it would be a major surprise considering Carbide was the reigning champion at that point. So yeah, naturally Gabriel would go through to round 2 successfully, along with Eruption, and Carbide would face off against Aftershock. So yeah, they'd have their rematch like a round early, but it would end up playing out the exact same way, with Aftershock unfortunately falling at this stage, making it the worst it's ever done in the rerun. So Carbide will get back in. So now I've got to think how these matchups would happen. Because yeah, we'd have Gabriel, Eruption, Carbide, Big Nipper. Yeah, naturally Gabriel 2 and Eruption would be kept separate from each other, so I guess Carbide would face Eruption like one round earlier, while Gabriel 2 and Big Nipper would fight again. Well, the Carbide versus Eruption fight, that still plays out the same way, with Carbide going to the Heat final. As for Gabriel 2 and Big Nipper, it's hard to say, and it also depends which weapon Big Nipper would use. I guess it would still use the disc, because I think the jaws, with the jaws it might have a hard time. Yeah, Gabriel 2 would have the entanglement weapons on again. And I think it would. It's hard to say. Yeah, the Big Nipper would get some hits in, but would still struggle. I mean, maybe it would knock rubber pieces off the wheels, but I think Gabriel 2 would win points on aggression. And get more successful hits in on Big Nipper and probably immobilise it again. So that would be Big Nipper out of it. Then Eruption and Big Nipper would have to fight for the right to be in the 10 Robot Rumble. But yeah, because they actually did face each other like in this timeline, Eruption would defeat Big Nipper, and Big Nipper would actually not be in there, and Eruption would go through to the 10 Robot Rumble. So then the Heat final would be a rematch between Gabriel 2 and Carbide. This time Carbide would probably be a bit more wary, and it would just end up playing out the exact same way, I think. Um, I guess the team would drive Carbide a bit more carefully, trying to keep it out of the way of the entanglement weaponry. Um, and yeah, it might last to a judge's decision, but yeah, I guess with a bit more careful driving and steering, Carbide would more than likely win this encounter and still go through to the grand final, which means that Gabriel 2 would be in the 10 Robot Rumble instead of Big Nipper. And then that, of course, would just play out in a similar way, only only with no one really being able to do much. I mean, we'd still have a lot of the contestants either in the pit or just flipped over. I mean, Apollo and Terahertz would eventually run out of gas and get immobilised by eruption. But I actually think eruption would struggle a lot against Gabriel too. It's just too slippery, and the fight is just going nowhere. So it would be tough to call. Of course, this would then end up going two ways. Scenario 1, eruption still finds a way to beat Gabriel 2 and even pushes it to the arena wall and flips it out. I think that's its only chance. And then it would go through, and then, well, we have the same 6 grand finalists, so the timeline plays out the same way. But if by some miracle Gabriel 2 wins, I don't know how it would, then yeah, that would change a lot. So Gabriel 2 would go through to face Magnetar and Rapid. The other fight with Carbide, Nuts 2 and Behemoth plays out the same way. Magnetar does manage to damage Rapid in the same way it did in the real timeline, but might struggle a bit with Gabriel 2. Oh yeah, this is also a rematch from Series 8 when Pulsar beats Gabriel 1. I don't know which weapon Gabriel 2 would use, whether it would be the blade or the entanglement device. It's really hard to say. Maybe the entanglement one, considering Pulsar has a spinning drum. I've also just noticed it's getting a bit dark. But I don't know, I feel like Gabriel would manage to damage Magnetar, maybe damage the Shri mech, damage the drum. So it could stretch to a judge's decision, but I'm going to go with the more likely scenario that Gabriel 2 would probably win. Then the redemption rounds would play out the same way, with Carbide destroying Rapid and Behemoth flipping Magnetar over. So now Behemoth would face Gabriel 2, and the Carbide versus Nuts 2 fight plays out the same way. And I think Behemoth should be able to handle Gabriel 2. And now it would finally use the sword blade thing. Would end up struggling, and Behemoth would flip it all over the place and would go through to the grand finals and face Carbide. And now we have another rematch of the century. This is the third time Carbide's been here, and this is the furthest that Behemoth has ever gone. And naturally it would use the anti-spinner scoop, and I feel like it would play out in a similar way to the grand final with Eruption. There'd be points where Carbide's weapon would cut out, and Behemoth would just flip it all over the place, and Behemoth would finally be the UK champion. Yes, the Behemoth boys get glory at long last. And it might represent the UK in the rest of the world tournament thing. Most definitely. I feel like it should have been in that anyway, in the real timeline. I don't know why it wasn't. So, yeah, that's how I think things would go if Gabriel 2 won the judge's decision against Carbide in Series 10. But let's say, for the sake of argument, going back to the Battle Royal with Gabriel 2, Pulsar, Magnetar and Rapid, let's say for the sake of argument that Magnetar did beat Gabriel 2. Well, Behemoth would still beat Gabriel 2, and I suppose Behemoth would still would fight Magnetar, and that would play out the same way, and yeah, Behemoth would still win the series in this scenario. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching.